Markelle Fultz's professional career will begin just a short drive from Prince George's County, Maryland, where he grew from a small kid into a 6'4" bigger kid, where doubt, both perceived and palpable, seemed to always follow him, and where his dream of one day being an NBA player, scratch that, an NBA star, was first hatched. Fultz, the player cut from his high school's varsity team as a sophomore, late to show up on the radar of top college recruiters, and then ridiculed for leading the University of Washington to just 9 wins as a freshman last season, is debuting as the league's most recent #1 pick. Thing is, he's being treated as anything but. The 19-year-old guard will, in all likelihood, be coming off the bench when his Philadelphia 76ers tip off with the Washington Wizards at Capital One Arena on Wednesday night. In a preseason survey of NBA general managers, Fultz did not receive a single vote to win Rookie of the Year. Lonzo Ball, the player picked one spot behind Fultz, who has a talkative father you may have heard of, received 19. Ben Simmons, who was selected first overall by the 76ers in 2016 and is also debuting after missing all of last season with a foot injury, received 7. Read more. NBA season preview: 10 things you should know. Nothing but net. Embiid, Wiggins deals are expensive gambles. Miami Heat hope their depth means they'll contend in East. Now Fultz, who was sidelined by an ankle injury during Summer League and bothered by lingering shoulder and knee soreness in recent weeks, starts his career as a sort of sidekick to Simmons and center Joel Embiid. It is an odd position for a first overall pick, especially one whose team traded up for him and is playing in a town that so rarely offers a grace period to athletes of any distinction. You might be interested in. Family members and friends flanked Aaron Wright, center, as she hurriedly walked out of the courthouse and into a waiting car. Wright did not speak to reporters and was ushered into the vehicle by a member of her legal team. Wright is charged with impaired driving causing death after Debbie Graves, 63, was struck and killed earlier this month. Woman charged in fatal hit and run gets bail. The cuts announced Monday are being made in corporate offices and include executives, members of management and employees across divisions and functions that support Loblaws, Shoppers Drug Mart and other retail stores, including No Frills, Joe Fresh and Zehrs. Loblaws to cut 500 jobs. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau speaks to members of the media as Finance Minister Bill Morneau looks on at a press conference on tax reforms in Stouffville, Ontario. On October 16, 2017. In a surprise move, the government, facing heat over its planned tax reforms, announced a tax cut. Trudeau and Morneau's efforts to sugarcoat tax reforms turns into comedy of errors, Hebert. It may also turn out to be a favorable position. At this point, it's almost as if they have 3 #1 picks in 1 year and you are seeing them at the same time, said Mike Zielski, a sports columnist at the Philadelphia Inquirer. It's Simmons, it's to a degree Embiid, and then Fultz is kind of almost third in that regard. That's how people around here are looking at it, and that will give Markelle some time to grow. The expectations for Fultz, however tempered heading into the season, are emblematic of where the 76ers are as a franchise. In 2013, when Sam Hinkie was the team's general manager and the basketball world was being told to trust the process, Michael Carter-Williams and Nerlens Noel were drafted directly into leading roles. Noel, still recovering from a torn anterior cruciate ligament, was unable to fulfill his while missing his entire rookie season. Carter-Williams was handed the keys to the 76ers offense and immediately became a round-the-clock ball handler who took 15.1 shots per game. Carter-Williams was named Rookie of the Year, but he struggled to shoot and take care of the ball, the former a requirement for the modern point guard, and the latter a fundamental necessity. The 76ers won just 19 games, good for tanking, later bad for Hinkie's job security, and the only reason to watch the team was to check on its future pieces. It quickly became easy for those future pieces to disappoint. Noel and Carter-Williams came in like they were supposed to be franchise saviors, whereas most players drafted 6th and 11th "You don't look at them that way," said The Athletic's Derek Bodner, who has covered the 76ers for various outlets for 4 years. But since they were the first pieces acquired during that rebuild, it changed things. Whereas Markelle is probably the last real high draft pick the team will have, and therefore won't have that burden. So while most number 1 picks join barren rosters begging for a centerpiece, Fultz joins Embiid, Simmons, second-year forward Dario Saric, veteran sharpshooter J.J. Redick, Robert Covington and his floor-scraping arms and journeyman guard Jared Bayless, who is expected to start in the backcourt alongside Simmons and Redick on Wednesday. That is a team that, if Embiid stays even relatively healthy, could contend for a playoff spot after winning a total 75 games in Brett Brown's first 4 seasons as head coach. And while Fultz is the most recent addition to the franchise's core, Simmons and Embiid each carry high levels of intrigue into the season. Simmons, a 6'10", rim-stalking forward, already has more Showtime documentaries made about him, 1, than NBA minutes played, 0. He is slotted to be the team's primary ball handler, and his highlight reel of no-look passes, all from college at Louisiana State or games that didn't count, present him as a skilled facilitator for any player, let alone one his size. The 7-foot Embiid was drafted 3rd overall in 2014, but has played just 31 games, all last season. He averaged 20.2 points and 7.8 rebounds and shot 36.7% from 3 in those games, and his dunks and step-back jumpers plastered him all over social media. His own jocular tweets have helped with that too. Then mix in 2 solid floor spacers in Redick and Covington, veterans such as Bayless and Amir Johnson, and backcourt depth, and it all makes for a favorable situation for a teenager. With Fultz coming in, it's like, well, the team should be pretty good, a lot better than it's ever been, Sielski said. So whatever they get from Fultz should be gravy at this point. That is not to say that Fultz won't face challenges as a rookie. Some have come already. He has been mocked for his shooting and free throw form during the preseason, and he has linked those struggles to shoulder soreness. He often played as a pick-and-roll ball handler in college, but will have to adjust to being an off-guard when on the court with Simmons. Even if he isn't expected to carry a heavy load from the start, Philadelphia fans will still question general manager Brian Colangelo's decision to trade up 2 picks when Fultz's first dry spell comes. And in an 82-game season, it will come. But he will also be able to wade into the NBA spotlight as an off-bench scorer, surrounded by young talented players on a team that is done rebuilding but still permitted growing pains. He has a very good situation for himself, said Stu Jackson, a Turner Sports NBA analyst who is also a former coach and executive. There's an opportunity here for him to get playing time, but not also have to necessarily be the franchise player. And it's an opportunity for him to develop on a more realistic timetable.